Welcome to another episode of our Unicorn Leader interview series here on the C-Suite podcast. My name is Russell Goldsmith, and together with Debbie West, we are thrilled to be joined online from Cyprus by Tony Jamous, the co-founder and CEO of Oyster. Founded in 2020, Oyster is a global employment platform that aims to remove the barriers to remote work and distributed hiring. The company has raised over $280 million across various funding rounds and reached unicorn status in less than 2 years from launch. Welcome to the show, Tony. I thought we could start by you telling us a little bit more about the company and also what prompted you to start it up back in 2020.
Thank you, Russ, for the introduction, and hello, everybody. So Oyster is a global employment platform where we enable any company anywhere to hire anyone regardless of their location. So essentially, what we've done is build this employment infrastructure around the world. We added a software layer on top, so we make global hiring as easy as local hiring. And we want to remove all the barriers in front of companies to tap into the global talent pool. And that's our mission. Oyster, first and foremost, is a mission-driven company. Why? Because there are 80 million jobs going unfulfilled in the West. According to Korn Ferry, that's 8.5 trillion economical loss. While at the same time, we have over 1 billion knowledge workers coming into the workforce in the next 10 years, mostly from emerging economies. So if we make global hiring as easy as local hiring using technology, we can drive the world to become more equal and more free. We can reduce brain drain. I mean, if you think about it, brain drain is the number one reason why emerging economies remain emerging, because they lose their best talent to the West. So why I created Oyster myself? I'm originally from Lebanon. I was born in this country in the East Mediterranean. I had to flee that country for a number of reasons, primarily to find a better economical future because it's a failed state. There's no future for youth in these countries. And I became an entrepreneur 14 years ago. I started my first technology business that was hiring people around the world. We were in 45 countries, and I was looking for, and there I was able to witness the power of global hiring. Not only you can tap into a global talent pool, but you can actually change people's lives in many countries. So I wanted to repeat that when I decided to start a new business in mid 2019, but I couldn't find a solution, and we created Oyster to solve that problem and to have an opportunity to change the world in a way that is more equal for people.
Yeah, it's brilliant to hear about that mission, Tony, and some incredible statistics that you quoted there. I'd love to tap into that mission-led business idea a bit more later. But for now, I know that Oyster obtained B Corp status last year, 2023. So why was being B Corp certified so important to you?
What is important for me is that we are working on a vision that is broader than the company itself. We are not here just to make money, return money for investors, although that's obviously a consequence of our mission. I believe that mission-driven company will return more money for investors than non-mission-driven companies. So it's important for us to prove that it's not just some words on our website. We embed our mission in everything we do. It is embedded in our core strategy. It is embedded in how we build product. It's embedded of who we hire. It is embedded of the customers we serve. So, and the B Corp status was a validation of that commitment to our mission that is broader than Oyster.
Tony, this links in with your annual global impact report that you guys produce, and I was looking through your website, but obviously before this interview I saw that's there, it's available there to download. Can you share some of the findings from that?
Yeah, so the impacts report is here to measure our impact, to make it tangible, to be able to progress it, have strategies to improve our impact. And today the key number is the percentage of team members we employ on behalf of our customers in emerging economies. And it was 30% 2 years ago. Today is over 40%. That change has been driven by primarily the economical cycles. As more companies try to become more efficient and reduce their headcount cost, they started to employ people away from expensive tier 1 cities in the West. So that's a very positive trend. We also measure how much more salary people get through the Oyster platform. We measure their ability, their increased employability when they're employed through the Oyster platform, their ability to take care of their family and their community more. So this is what the impact report is about measuring the impact we have on the people we employ through our platform and their countries and their economies.
That's great.
And also another important number is the amount of money we send into emerging economies. We call them the foreign direct investment number that we send into emerging economies in the form of salaries and taxes that they would not get otherwise. Essentially, these are replacing remittance or augmenting remittance. A lot of these emerging economies, they need this hard currency. So, and we send hundreds of millions of dollars every year to these countries. And last year, that number have grown faster than the rest of our business.
I want to go back to the structure of the business and how you've built it. I mentioned at the top of the show you've raised over $280 million to date. The most recent of that money was a $59 million Series D round that you announced recently, just back in September this year. Can you talk through where that money has been invested?
Look, the problem we're solving is pretty massive. Think about it. Every country has different employment regulation, tax laws, payroll rules, so benefit rules. So we're taking all these complicated regulatory data and building a software platform on top, increasingly AI-driven, that enable us to create, to make the planet Earth look like one country for employment. So a lot of the investment goes into this R&D, so research and development, to build and innovate around simplifying the world of employment. But also the investment is going to go into new products as well, because today we support 2 employment modalities. So you can hire through Oyster contractors, you can hire full-time employees through our own entities around the world. We call that employer of record model. And we are also launching global payroll that enable companies to employ on their existing overseas entities. So in that case, we have covered all employment modalities for cross-border employment: contractor, employer of record, and employment through your own entities.
One of the things you just mentioned there was AI, actually. It's a topic that we discuss regularly on this podcast. How important is that for the business, but also how much of a challenge is it to keep up with the pace of change in that space?
AI has been a blessing for our business because our business is primarily a knowledge business. Think about this hundreds of lawyers that we have to work with, law firms around the world, hundreds of accountancy firms that we have to work around the world. We are replacing these with AI. We are increasing the internal productivity of our own teams. We are creating better experiences for the customer that are supported and enabled by AI. We were the first to launch our AI chatbot August 2 years ago, actually. And as you said, it is a challenge to keep up, but it's our core business now. So we are cutting edge in leveraging the latest AI technologies and implementing them in our business so we can accelerate our impact.
Yeah, brilliant. And taking us back to that mission-led organization that you talked about earlier when you spoke about your motivation for setting up the company, tell us a little bit about how being a mission-led business has shaped your company's culture.
It is a core of our company culture. It starts with the people we hire. The people I hire are people that are mission-driven and mission-aligned. My team are people that can find a job anywhere. They are top of their game in their fields, but they're choosing to work for me because I guide them toward this vision and mission that is broader than themselves. It goes to attracting the right investors. We have mission-driven investment on our cap table, starting from fund like Salesforce.com, Impact Fund is a good example, to Base 10. These are top impact investors, to attracting customers. The customer that we work with are customers that care about why their vendors exist. And 70% of the customers that work with us mention our mission as one of the driving factors of choosing us as one of their vendors. And also, when you think about this culture, the impact on the culture, it's not about our external impact, where we are here to make the world more fair and equal. The mission reflects internally like a mirror. So we need to be internal. We have to live our mission. We have to be human-centric, treat people fairly and equally around the world, build a diverse workforce. We ourselves are our biggest customers at Oyster. We are 550 people distributed in 70 countries from over 100 nationalities, gender equal across the board. We are the most diverse company on planet Earth.
How involved are you in that hiring process, Tony? Because obviously now that the company's grown so massively.
It depends, right? So if I'm involved in the people I hire directly, that works for me. That would be my own responsibility. So I'm 100% involved in these. And for the key important direct reports of my team, I get brought in at late stage in the interview process. But that's it. The key is trusting my team. I trust my team to make the right choices. And I know that if sometimes they make mistakes, that's okay, can be repaired. So one of my intentions is to create a psychological safety in the workplace. And it's really about trusting people and creating an environment where mistakes are allowed and they're not going to be judged if they make mistakes.
Yeah, that concept of psychological safety is so important, and it's really good to hear you say that you've got this distributed team with a great sort of gender balance and diversity. That's so impressive. And there's a lot of debate at the moment about things like return to the office mandates, those sorts of things. So what's your kind of response to that concept of people being demanded back into workplaces full time?
Yeah, it's really not a question of where do you work. It's a question of, can I trust you to do your work? So it's a leadership crisis that the world is seeing, because if you trust your employees to do their best work, no matter what they are, you don't have to force them to come back to the office. I mean, the data are clear. Working from home with the right setup and the right environment is so much more productive and so much more healthy for your mental health than be forced to commute to an office in a congested city somewhere in the world. Like, people thrive on freedom and flexibility. And when you take that away from them because you don't trust them, that's like the path for toxic cultures. And we see that companies that are forcing their employees to return to the office, they are losing their best talent. They're losing their best talent to whom? To companies that are fully distributed, they care about their people, and they have created a culture that makes people successful no matter what they are.
Yeah, we're a totally remote business, so totally on board with all that.
Absolutely agree. And when it comes to internal communications, Tony, and keeping all of your employees engaged, how personally involved are you in that process?
Yeah, I'm pretty involved actually, because the founder, CEO presence in the business is important, especially in a mission-driven business where we are here to hit the number, of course, but there's more just a means to an end, hitting the number. So I have a communication team. I have my chief of staff that helps me be present when I need it, and help me prepare my communication. And really, it's about providing an authentic and transparent view of the business, and be authentic about how I communicate things. So that's important. You have to add your own authentic flavor to it, and treat people like adults. People want to be treated like responsible employees.
What kind of tactics do you use, given your remote business as well?
Yeah, so we have our monthly all hands meeting, where on every month I give a business update, what's going on in the business. We do have very specific Slack channels for specific communication needs. So we have, for instance, our core news channels where people receive the core news. We do have our internal Q&A channel as well, where anybody can ask a question to the leadership team. What else we have? We have every year, we have also our Follow the Sun event. It's a week-long event, virtual event, where there's a number of activities and collaboration and fun stuff that are happening to bring people together across time zones. And also we have a number of channels to connect and engage. We have the Good Morning channel. Everybody join in and say good morning and maybe share a picture. We have all these social channels, like you have your pet channel, you have your scuba diver channels, you have your golfer channel, some of the channels I'm part of. There's also a mental health support channel where people anonymously or not can come and share what they're going through, and there's a community of people that comes and support them. Yeah, I think this is how we've been managing.
Tony, we interviewed our first unicorn leader back in December 2019, so this series has been going a little while, and lots has changed in that time. We started this kind of new season of interviews at the start of this year, and a number of the guests have felt that the term unicorn isn't necessarily as relevant now as it was a few years ago. But when I was looking on your LinkedIn profile, you kind of proudly state right at the top there that you are the founder of 2 unicorns. So I was just keen to get your thoughts on where you see the relevancy of the term today.
Yeah, I think for me, I don't have a personal opinion. I'm here to give a show to the world and tell the world what they need to hear sometimes. And if people are still attached to that term, I'm going to use that term. And when people stop being attached to that term, I'm going to stop using that term. So valuation are just numbers. The numbers are important, don't get me wrong, are important to prove the progress and the impact we're making, but they're just numbers, and most of the time they're arbitrary numbers, right? Reaching $1 billion valuation 10 years ago was a big deal. Today is still a big deal, but maybe less than a big deal than before. Think about inflation or the valuation have gone through in the last few years. So this is how the world works. The world works through labeling things, and my job as a leader is to effectively communicate things, and I'm going to use what the world is expecting me to use.
Is there a milestone that you're aiming to reach next then?
I mean, of course we have internal goals, we have financial goals that we need to reach, but my approach is actually which is very unusual, I've been told, is to be more in a surrendering mode to whatever the universe will present to us, and stay open to seize any opportunity that comes our way, whether it's going public, doing merger and acquisitions, developing new markets. So these things sometimes they come to you, right? And you have to be there, open to receive them. So my goal is to keep Oyster and myself open to and as flexible as possible. I call it strategic flexibility. So, for instance, there's a limit to how much money and valuation you want to have in order for you to have 2 paths, IPO or M&A. After you raise too much money and you have too big a valuation, then you only have one option, IPO. And then suddenly you are at the mercy of the stock market. So by remaining strategically flexible, I can be more open to whatever the world presents to me. And actually, I have to tell you, even leaders that tell you they have plans, it's primarily to soothe themselves and give themselves some level of certainty in their life. But in reality, like there's very little things we can control. And what is important is to remain flexible and open to whatever is going to happen.
Yeah, that open-minded approach is really interesting, Tony, I have to say. And sadly, we're coming towards the end of the podcast now, but we just got a couple of more things we'd like to ask you. And I know there's a really good story behind the meaning of your name, Jamous. So would you like to share that story with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So Jamous means the buffalo in Arabic. And in the last few years, I've been connecting more deeply and maybe some people may say spiritually with the buffalo as an animal. And I've been receiving some teaching from the buffalo, specifically from a leadership standpoint. The buffaloes, how they operate, they move in herds, and the toughest, most experienced buffalo or older buffalo moves on the extremities, on the outer edges of the herd, and the youngest one is the middle. And for me, this is a great, it's an inspiring image for how I can lead, or how leaders can lead, which is you are there behind the scenes, creating a system for the people to grow and thrive, and providing that protection, whether it's a financial protection, whether it's a business protection, or it's a psychological protection, to help them develop and grow and move forward in a safe way. That's for me, it's been one of my leadership inspiration.
No, I love that story. Tony, we've got one final question for you to finish off. Quite simply, what's next for Oyster? Can you share the plans for the next 12 to 18 months?
So really now we're opening up a new chapter for Oyster. We just raised probably one of the last large funding round that we need, because we have a clear path to reach profitability. So the key is to continue to improve the business operationally in order for us to reach and exceed the milestone of profitability. But you're also launching new products. As we mentioned earlier, we're launching global payroll that enable us to become this fully multimodal global employment platform. So we're very excited about that. I think these are like the two major goals that we have right now in the business.
That's great. Well, listen, best of luck with those developments in the business. But for now, Tony Jamous, thank you so much for taking the time to join us and record this today. Really appreciate it. We would love to hear your comments on today's chat. You can do that by sharing them on any of our social media feeds. They're all linked from the top of our website at csuitepodcast.com, where you'll also find all our previous shows and supporting show notes, plus links to where you can follow us on the likes of Spotify and Apple. And if you've liked what you heard, then please do give us a positive rating and review. If you are a unicorn leader yourself and you'd like to be part of this series, please do get in touch via the contact form on the website. And of course, anyone can get in touch with any feedback you may have. And finally, you can also find both me, Russell Goldsmith, and Debbie West on LinkedIn. But for now, thanks for listening and goodbye.